What if I told you the advice almost every new copywriter is following is the exact reason most of them never earn serious money? Well, hang on, hear me out. It's because of their searching for the wrong niche. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why chasing the highest paying niche is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. But more importantly, I'm going to show you the strategy that's allowed me to reuse my content for over 25 years without starting from scratch every single time. Because here's what's interesting. It almost has nothing to do with your writing skill. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. However, I know you have searched for how to become a copywriter, okay? Best email copywriting niche, highest paying copywriting niche, how to make money online. And you've probably seen the exact same answers time after time. It's going to be real estate, financial advisors, SaaS companies, health, fitness, wealth. Every AI platform, every influencer, every YouTube short and guru is going to say the same thing. And technically, none of them are wrong. They're simply answering the wrong question. The wrong question is, where is the most money? However, the correct question should be, where can I become impossible to replace? That's a huge difference. Because businesses don't pay premium prices simply because you can write a sentence or two or have some AI platform do it for you. They pay premium prices because you understand their business better than everyone else. That's an entirely different skill. Now later, I'm going to show you why this becomes your biggest competitive advantage over everybody. But first, let's talk about why almost everyone chooses the niche backwards and why chasing money keeps you broke. And here's what beginners usually ask. Again, which niche pays the most? That's the wrong question. Instead, ask yourself this. Can I still make money writing for this industry 5 years from now? Can I understand the customer's problems, their language? What motivates them to buy? Can I consistently create email campaigns that convert? And here's the reality. If your only reason for entering a niche is, bro, I heard there's money there, you're competing against people who actually do very well in that market already, along with the thousands who are doing the same thing you are right now, chasing that high-paying niche. And eventually, all those bad outreach methods taught by others almost always destroy the efforts of good content creators. Because the thousands who are doing the same thing you're doing right now, they flood the market with lame content, not allowing the rest of us here to gain a foothold. Because the prospects and businesses they're just getting slammed. We'll get more into that later on. But, I spent the past 25 years creating content, digital marketing campaigns for the outdoor industry. Companies that live and breathe the outdoor lifestyle. Now, I could write emails for a software company. Yeah, sure. But would they hire me over someone who spent 15 years doing the same job already? Now, probably not, because expertise always beats general knowledge every single time. Let's make this this idea based very simply on what I know and do, okay? Let's say you own a fishing lure company. You knew I was going to go there. You have two copywriters who have sent you messages, crafted well enough for you to open in the first place, which is part of professional outreach, by the way, getting these messages opened. Anyway, the first message says, I've watched several YouTube videos about bass fishing. Okay. The second one says, I provided email and digital marketing content for most of the top lure makers over the past decade. Who gets that contract? The answer isn't even close. Because the business owner isn't buying words. They're buying confidence. Confidence that you already understand everything about their customers and how to create content that supports that. And here's something almost nobody ever talks about. The confidence dramatically reduces the risk. What do I mean? The risk being lost sales from lame content. That's something the client doesn't want. And if you understand your client's wants, needs, and desires by doing deep research, you already understand the customer and everything about them. And when you prevent the risk, they're willing to pay you more. And that raises even a bigger question. If expertise matters so much, how do you compete when you're brand new? And this is where almost everybody, they receive terrible advice. And you see this online a lot. You'll hear some 19-year-old say, I'm 19 years old and I made $1 million writing emails. Well, congratulations. No, seriously, congratulations. That's a heck of an accomplishment. But here's what you don't know. Maybe their parents own successful businesses. They've been surrounded by marketing conversations since, I don't know, they were like 12. Maybe they worked inside the family company way before anyone knew their name. Maybe they already had clients they were helping with. Spent years learning behind the scenes. Social media rarely shows the beginning. It always shows the victory lap. And that can be dangerous. Now, comparing yourself to what they've done or what you see on these highlighted reels, it brings with it discouragement. However, your learned experience equals confidence. Niche mastery equals opportunity. You don't build your business around someone else's highlighted reel. You build it around your own experience. You're like, well, I don't have any experience, man. It's all new to me. Okay. But have you ever worked construction, manufacturing, automotive, anything like that? If so, you were trained by someone, right? You were trained so you can learn how to perform, how to stay safe doing what you're doing, and produce value. And that is good because you're already ahead of what most writers can't comprehend. You're ahead because you understand something they don't. And not even AI can produce the total answers. You're ahead because you understand the language of that occupation. And persuasion begins with that language. In fact, here's the answer for how do you compete when you're brand new? Here's the answer. The closer you are to your customer's language, the easier selling becomes. But why? That answer surprised me when I finally understood it. You see, everything we've discussed so far leads to one realization. Choosing a niche isn't about choosing an industry. It's about building something far more valuable. It's about you building your assets. I'm going to show you why every email you write needs to become your own intellectual property. How one client can quietly help you land the next and the next and the next one after that. But that's exactly what's happened with me and so many others. And the repurposing system that completely changed how I built my business over the past 25 years. Because once you understand this framework, you'll stop chasing the next client. And you'll start building something clients cannot easily replace. Let's talk about that. What niche mastery really is. And that's the one asset that no one talks about. Okay, let's connect the dots. Most successful writers think they're choosing the niche they want to write in. Okay, they're not. Now, these are successful writers. They're choosing a place to build experience. Now, those two, niche and experience, are two totally, completely different things. When I first started writing in the outdoor industry, I wasn't thinking I'm going to become an expert. No, I was simply solving problems for the clients. One email here and there, a newsletter, a product launch, just product descriptions, maybe even helping on a sales campaign. But then something interesting happened. Every project taught me something the next client needed, because I was learning as I'm growing, moving and learning. And every conversation revealed another customer objection. Every campaign showed me another buying trigger. Every success and every failure, which there was a ton of those, became research I could take with me and move forward. I learned that knowledge equals experience, which equals confidence, which equals, well, your expertise and leads to authority. That's when I realized something. The real value wasn't the email I just wrote. It was everything I learned when I was writing it. And once you understand what that knowledge becomes, you'll never look at a client project the same way ever again. Now, here's something that's probably you're going to go, huh? Your clients are not your biggest asset. And this is a kind of a mental shift that kind of threw me for a loop. Yeah, they help you pay your bills. They pay you money for your services. But it's your knowledge that builds your future. Okay, think about that. Every customer interview, and when you're on a sales call, you're talking to them, you're learning, you're figuring things out. A product launch you help them with. Every failed subject line. Oh, there's been so many of those. Every winning email or sales page, your objections. Every single question a customer is going to ask. All of that becomes your intellectual property. It's not legally protected content. It's not something you can paste and copy. I'm talking about accumulative knowledge. Knowledge that nobody can take away from you. That's the real asset. And every year, you learn more and become more valuable. Now, here's something I heard a long time ago. It took me a while to figure it out, to really think about it. But knowledge compounds and your money follows. The secret isn't great creative writing, although that does help. It's repurposing. And now we arrive at the strategy I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Repurposing your content. This is where specialists quietly separate themselves from everyone else. Let's use a real example, okay? Your first client is a fishing lure manufacturer. I know, go figure, right? They hire you to create a complete email welcome sequence consisting of something like 10 different emails. This is where you learn the different customer segments, the different buying stages. You spend, 20 plus hours researching. You learn why some anglers hesitate before buying, pricing, things of that nature. What products beginners purchase first. What experienced fishermen value the most. The emotional, funny language they use. The stories they tell, which always get bigger with each retelling. Anything and everything about those customers. You see, you're not just writing emails, you're building a research database. Now, a few months later, another fishing lure company reaches out to you. After you practice professional outreach and sent them a few messages, they respond. And they want you to write, 5 welcome emails and like 5 product descriptions. Now, do you start over? You start gathering all this information, looking at the customer buying properties and everything that goes with that? Absolutely not, because you already understand the customer that you're writing for. You see, now you're adapting. You're adapting to different products, different offers, a different brand, a different company, but the same buyer psychology. We talked about that before as well. And think of it as this way. You research once, you continue to learn forever as you progress, and you customize every time. That's repurposing. This is where your speed begins to increase, and you're on your way. But here's the mistake that ruins the advantage for thousands of copywriters every year. And people are told to be a generalist. But generalists, they get stuck. They get stuck and they can't move forward. They stay that way because they have to reset the clock with every new project. Here's what I mean. Okay. We'll just put this out there so it kind of makes sense. Monday, you're writing for a dentist. Great. Tuesday, you're writing for a software company. Hey, you're keeping busy. Wednesday, you're writing for a real estate agent. Okay, you're really busy. Thursday, it's fitness time. And Friday, you're writing for insurance agencies or something. Each client requires completely new research, new terminology, new customer psychology, and buying behaviors. Everything starts at zero, again and again and again. You see, specialists who repurpose don't have that problem. Every project builds on the last one. That's why specialists We just don't write faster. We think faster. They've already solved these problems dozens, sometimes even hundreds of times before. That's experience, okay? The experience is what clients actually pay for. Generalist equals researching everything again and again. Specialist equals refining the content you already wrote. That's a big difference. People often assume specialists, they charge more, right? Because they write better. It's only part of the story. The real reason is because a specialist will provide certainty. They'll provide that certain aspect of their service. It's a certain outcome. And when you've solved similar marketing problems over and over, you start to recognize these patterns faster. You identify objections a whole lot quicker and sooner, and you know which emotional triggers matter. That type of certainty that creates confidence, and your confidence in what you're able to produce creates value. Businesses don't enjoy gambling with their marketing budget. I know I don't. I know most others don't. They'd rather hire someone who's already been there and done that. And there's one final piece that ties everything together. And it's probably the biggest misconception about making 5 figures or more a month. And this is where we come full circle. Because at the beginning of this video, I told you almost everyone asked the wrong question. Instead of asking, what's the highest paying niche? You should ask, which niche can I master? What audience can I genuinely become interested in and understand? And can I gain knowledge year after year in this industry, in this niche? Because something incredible happens when you stay in that one market long enough. You see, every client teaches you something different. The projects you worked on, you expand your knowledge. Every campaign makes the next one that much easier. Your success levels compound. Eventually, you're no longer selling your time. You're selling your accumulated expertise. And that's what businesses really buy. And this is the reason why the best copywriters out there, they're not chasing the next hot lead or the next hot niche that pops up. They become known inside of the one market, that one market, and eventually that market starts looking for them. And here's something to think about. Knowledge equals expertise. Expertise equals authority. Authority equals demand. And demand equals higher pay. That's niche mastery right there. And that's why it becomes so difficult to replace someone who's had like the time to do the research, the time to learn about that niche. And in some places, it may take years learning one audience. There's one lesson I hope you remember from today's episode. It's this. Stop chasing the next highlighted reel. Start building your own expertise. Because expertise creates opportunities. And every client should make the next client easier. Every email should make another one that much easier to write. And every campaign should become, well, another asset to where you learn from. That's how real businesses grow. Slowly, steadily with a purpose and intention. What is your purpose? What is your intention? Not because they found a shortcut, because they built something worth paying for. If you're serious about learning persuasive writing, copywriting, customer psychology, digital marketing, and professional outreach, well, you're in the right place. Because here at the Copy Shop, we're building an entire library designed to help new and intermediate copywriters develop real skills, not just consume random motivation. And if this video gave you a different perspective on choosing a niche, let me know in the comments. No, seriously, tell me. What's that one industry that you already understand better than most people? I'd really like to hear that. And if you haven't already, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And before you even write another email, download our free guide, Getting Deep Inside the Reader's Brain. It's in the description box below. It walks you through the exact customer psychology framework that we use here at the Copy Shop and the Outdoor Writing Company before writing a single word. Now, don't stop here. Click on the next video where I'll show you how to research a market like the top 1% does, and why great research makes persuasive writing that much easier. And I'll see you there.